911, what's your emergency?
In a world glittering with stage lights and the glamour of fame, not everyone understands the darkness lurking beneath that dazzling facade. Sean P. Diddy Combs, a name renowned in the global entertainment industry, a powerful music producer, a symbol of success and extravagance, suddenly finds himself at the center of a shocking federal trial. A trial that not only revolves around serious accusations, but also unveils the dark shadows, the grim remnants of power and manipulation within showbiz. This trial is not just a legal battle between parties, but a heavy indictment of an entire system, an industry where truth and justice are often fragile concepts, easily distorted. In this tense atmosphere, a pivotal figure takes the stand: Cassie Ventura, singer-actress and former partner of P. Diddy, now the key witness, who will shake the entire courtroom with shocking testimony, confirming claims that once seemed like nothing more than nightmares from Jonathan Oddie, a former stripper who identified himself as a sex slave within the dark network led by Diddy and his associates. The story didn't begin in the courtroom, but under the dim neon lights of lavish VIP rooms at extravagant parties where power and desire dangerously intertwine. It's a world the media usually only glimpses from the surface: sparkling faces, radiant smiles, promises of advancement and success. But underneath lies ruthless manipulation, coercion, and exploitation. Jonathan Oddie, once dismissed by the public as an exaggerator or even a liar, offered shocking testimony about being forced into a sex slave network where power, money, and threats were tools to trap young people and steal their dreams. Oddie spoke of days lived in darkness, controlled like a puppet, unable to escape the painful and humiliating cycle. When Oddie's revelations first emerged, they detonated like a slow-burning bomb in the entertainment community, provoking skepticism and denial. Who could believe a powerful mogul like Diddy was involved in such horrors? But then Cassie Ventura, an insider who witnessed everything firsthand, took the stand and ignited the flame of truth. Her words pierced the glamorous facade surrounding P. Diddy, shaking the media, the public, and even insiders to their core. Cassie did not merely corroborate Oddie's testimony. She painted a full picture of a complex network where power was wielded to exploit, where young people were turned into tools for lust and profit. All-night parties, secret deals, shady relationships, she described these with chilling coldness, yet raw authenticity. Behind each sentence, one could feel the fear, betrayal, and simmering pain hidden beneath the spotlight. This trial is not only a test for Sean P. Diddy Combs, but a trial for the justice system itself, its ability to break through the protective veil shielding the powerful. On the defense side, lawyers fought to discredit Cassie and Oddie, presenting evidence and witnesses to argue that the testimonies were misunderstood, exaggerated, or fabricated to harm a celebrity. Yet the prosecutor's evidence formed an undeniable mosaic: text messages, secret recordings, supporting witnesses, all weaving a tight web that anchored Cassie's and Oddie's words in truth. Each testimony was no longer isolated, but linked like a domino chain, guiding the audience through hidden layers of truth and unhealed wounds of those once harmed. The online community, media, and fans could not stay out of the storm. With each passing day, articles, comments, and discussions about the trial grew more heated. From surprise and doubt to outrage, many began reevaluating the entire entertainment landscape, a world where glamour does not always mean purity or fairness. Questions about human nature, corruption of power, and untold dark secrets are now more urgent than ever. Can this trial become a turning point? Can justice truly be served when those at the top wield immense power, money, and influence? And can society muster the courage to face the truth beyond the dazzling performances on stage? As the courtroom doors close, all eyes turn to Cassie Ventura, a young woman once caught in the whirlpool of power and abuse, now a voice of truth. and Sean P. Diddy Combs, the man at the Storm Center, confronting the gravest accusations of his career and life. This trial is not just an individual story, but a mirror reflecting the dark corners of the entertainment industry, society, and ourselves. It reminds us that no matter how bright the light, shadows always remain underneath, and truth sometimes must be illuminated through tears, courage, and unspoken pain. To fully understand the whole picture of this shocking trial, we must first see through the central figure, Sean P. Diddy Combs, and the people entangled in this story, woven with power, ambition, and deadly secrets. Sean P. Diddy Combs, the icon of power and the price of fame, born. Sean John Combs, P. Diddy, is an undeniable icon in the American entertainment industry. Not only a talented rapper, he is also a music producer, entrepreneur, and fashion icon. From his early days in the impoverished Harlem neighborhood, Diddy rose up through relentless determination, using music and branding to build his own empire. But this success always came with rumors and behind-the-scenes stories that the public rarely fully knew. Diddy is described as a powerful man who controls every aspect of his life, from music image to personal relationships. To those close to him, he is tough, demanding, but also charismatic, with the ability to manipulate and dominate in ways few can. However, with this trial, that shining aura begins to fade, exposing dark layers full of earth-shattering secrets. Accusations that Diddy used his power to build a network exploiting others, especially young artists, are gradually being revealed under the spotlight of justice. Cassie Ventura, from insider to witness, stepping into the light. Cassie Ventura, once dubbed the Queen of R&B, was Diddy's girlfriend for many years and one of the few who understood the complex power dynamics within their relationship. Cassie was a young woman full of promise, talent, and beauty. She entered the entertainment industry with dreams and ambitions to reach the pinnacle of her career. But behind her radiant smile was a wounded soul suffocated by pressure from an unequal relationship. Years spent beside Diddy left deep, indelible marks on her. In the trial, Cassie is the first to dare stand up and confront the truth courageously, recounting what she once tried to hide in her heart. Her testimony is not only evidence, but also a voice representing those exploited and abused in showbiz, people who have suffered in silence. Jonathan Oddie, sex slave or troublemaker. Jonathan Oddie, a former male stripper who claimed to be a sex slave in the network operated by Diddy and his associates, is one of the most controversial figures in the case. Oddie's testimony opened the door to a series of shocking events and was the source of the most serious accusations. Oddie came from a normal family and had simple dreams, but was caught in the dark whirlpool of the entertainment world. He described being lured and forced to attend parties involving powerful figures where illegal and exploitative acts were hidden behind glamorous facades. Oddie's testimony was initially met with skepticism, considered by many as the act of someone seeking fame or revenge. But Cassie Ventura's appearance, with largely matching statements, changed the dynamics. Slowly, hidden truths began to surface, forcing the public to reconsider everything. The power network and manipulation, social and entertainment industry context. This trial is not just a confrontation between individuals, but a reflection of a troubling social reality, manipulation and exploitation in the entertainment industry. Stories of abuse, coercion, and sex trafficking in showbiz are not new, but they are rarely spoken about openly and transparently. The power wielded by industry leaders often turns talented young people into victims of exploitation. They face threats, isolation, and lose their ability to protect themselves. Lavish parties and VIP rooms, seemingly places of fun, become sites of cruel acts. The characters in this case embody a complex system where money and power become weapons to manipulate people. It is also a warning to modern society. The glamorous image is a fragile shell beneath which horrific crimes can hide. Related parties and their roles. Besides the central figures, the trial revealed many other names in entertainment and society caught up in the power vortex or serving as links in the network. Famous names such as Kid Cudi, Jennifer Lopez, Cuba Gooding Jr., and even Prince Harry were mentioned in testimonies, though their roles remain unclear. This highlights the complexity and breadth of the network, and the case's impact reaches beyond the U.S., resonating globally. Legal and social context. The trial takes place in a social environment increasingly awake to issues of young artists' rights, power abuse, and exploitation in entertainment. Movements like Your Me Too and Time's Up have sparked new winds encouraging victims to speak out. Yet truth is never easy to accept. Hidden forces, personal interests, and social norms still force many victims to silence, while powerful perpetrators can evade accountability. P. Diddy's trial is a test for the American legal system, a challenge to see if justice truly serves all or is just a complicated game of power and injustice. Psychology of the main characters. Understanding the story fully requires diving deep into the psychology of the main players. Sean P. Diddy Combs, a powerful man, is he hiding a different self full of contradictions and pressures? Is his control and manipulation a result of deep insecurity? Cassie Ventura, once walking a path of roses in her career, later facing the pain of betrayal and abuse. Her courage to testify is not only a legal act, but a healing process for her wounded soul. Jonathan Oddie, from a victim to a truth-teller enduring criticism and pressure. He is not just a victim, but a fighter for himself and others in similar situations. This trial is not simply a criminal case, but a story about people, systems, and values tested in the modern world. The trial has reached one of its most crucial moments, the testimony of Jonathan Oddie, the witness dubbed the sex slave who once lived in the shadows of the glamorous entertainment world, enduring abuses that few could imagine. As he took the stand, the atmosphere in the courtroom grew so heavy that many felt as if their breath had stopped. The journey from dazzling spotlight to prison of the soul. Jonathan Oddie is not an unfamiliar name in the underground showbiz scene. Before the case erupted, he was a well-known exotic dancer in upscale nightclubs around Los Angeles. With his striking appearance, toned physique, and skilled performances, Jonathan quickly caught the attention of powerful moguls in the industry. But few knew that behind the dazzling stage lights was a personal hell Jonathan had to endure. He recounted in detail the days when he was forced to attend secret parties where power and lust combined to create a dangerous labyrinth. Jonathan was one of the valuable assets in this system, tightly controlled like property owned by the big bosses. The first testimony. Unlimited exploitation and brutality. Jonathan began his story with shocking details. He described being forced to serve VIP guests, people with high social status, including famous artists known to the public only through television. We were controlled every minute, every second, Jonathan admitted in a somber voice. No right to choose, no right to say no. Anyone who dared to resist was immediately punished one way or another. Stories of physical violence, sexual assault, even psychological torture were described in such detail that many listeners shuddered. Jonathan said he had been locked in dark rooms, beaten and interrogated whenever he showed signs of wanting to escape or reveal the truth. The Power Network and P. Diddy's role. The most shocking part of Jonathan's testimony was his direct link of these brutal acts to Sean P. Diddy Combs. He described Diddy not only as someone who knew everything, but also directly ran and participated in the network. He's not just the music mogul, he's the boss of controlling people, Jonathan said. Everyone must obey his orders and he knows exactly what's going on. Jonathan repeatedly asserted that Diddy attended secret parties where people like him were used as tools to satisfy the lust of the elite. He also mentioned Cassie Ventura and others who had witnessed or been part of this network, raising unanswered questions about the case's complexity and scope. The rise of the oppressed voice, Jonathan's testimony, was not just painful truths, but a voice for thousands of victims exploited in the entertainment industry. He represents a generation silenced by fear and power, but decided to stand up and fight back. When asked why he chose to expose the truth now, Jonathan shared, "I can't live in the dark anymore, can't keep enduring this. This isn't just my story. It's the story of many others. Justice must be served." Courtroom and public reactions. Jonathan's testimony caused many in the courtroom to bow their heads. Some wept, others could not contain their emotions. The defense attorneys tried to dismiss his claims by questioning his credibility and motives, calling it an attempt to bring down a celebrity. However, the subsequent appearance of Cassie Ventura with similar confirmations completely changed the situation, making the trial feel like an unstoppable seismic shock. Outside public opinion surged, with media relentlessly covering the story from various angles: outrage, regret, skepticism. Many began to question the nature of the entertainment industry and how many Jonathan Otis remained silent in the shadows. Echoes of truth and hope for the future, Jonathan Otis' testimony was like a small flame illuminating the darkness, creating waves of change in societal awareness. It reminds us that behind the dazzling glamour lie untold stories and unhealed wounds. The trial is not just an individual judgment, but an awakening to an urgent social issue. Power must be controlled, and justice must be served for everyone, especially the most vulnerable. Jonathan Otis is no longer a ghost in the shadows. He has become a voice for truth, justice, and hope that one day the entertainment industry will no longer be a place of terrifying darkness. When Cassie Ventura entered the courtroom, time seemed to freeze. The singer, model, and beloved public figure now stood at the witness stand in a case riddled with disturbing truths, unmasking the chilling underbelly of the entertainment industry that few had dared to imagine. Stepping into the shadows of power and desire, Cassie was no stranger to Sean P. Diddy Combs. Their relationship, once celebrated in tabloids as a romantic, tumultuous love story, was captivating to the public. But behind the glitter and glamour lay a dark, tangled web, one where Cassie wasn't merely a lover, but a pivotal part of a network built on dominance and control. In her testimony, Cassie opened a door into a private room of shadows she had long tried to hide. She corroborated the shocking claims of Jonathan Otis, not only confirming the existence of a sex-slave network, but revealing that she herself had once been entangled in it in ways more complex and painful than most could comprehend. The truth behind the spotlight. Cassie recounted how she was swept into the vortex of power and pressure that governs the entertainment industry, where fame and success often come at a harrowing personal cost. Lavish parties weren't just indulgent distractions, they were arenas where power was bartered, often through disturbing means. "No one escapes the rules here," she said, her voice low and firm, tinged with sorrow. "I've seen and endured things I once thought only existed in horror stories." She described private gatherings where individuals like Jonathan Otis were forced to serve VIP guests, some of them household names. She did not hesitate to point to Sean P. Diddy Combs as not only aware of the operations, but also as an active participant in orchestrating and maintaining the system. Inner conflict and a courageous decision. Cassie's testimony was not just a cold recounting of events, it was a reckoning. She admitted to staying silent in the past, paralyzed by fear and the immense pressure to conform. But now, standing before a court of law, she chose truth. "Silence means complicity in injustice," she stated. "I can't let people like Jonathan bear this burden alone. Now is the time to speak up." She spoke of feeling like a puppet manipulated by forces larger than herself, but emphasized her journey toward reclaiming her identity and confronting past mistakes. Revelations that shook the public. Among the most explosive elements of her testimony was her disclosure that several other prominent artists had attended these clandestine parties, individuals once idolized by the public. The revelations stunned many and ignited fierce debate across social media and the press. Cassie confirmed that Jonathan Oddie's allegations were not exaggerated, they were raw, unfiltered truths she had personally witnessed. Her words added significant weight to the trial, forcing many to reevaluate how deeply the entertainment world may be corrupted. Courtroom reactions and a divided public. Cassie's account sent shivers through the courtroom. Some attendees sobbed quietly, others tried to mask their tears. Meanwhile, Diddy's defense attorneys relentlessly challenged her motives, suggesting her testimony was driven by personal vendettas and could not be fully trusted. Outside the courthouse, public opinion remained divided. Some voiced unwavering support and sympathy for Cassie and other alleged victims. Others expressed skepticism. But one fact was indisputable: her testimony dramatically shifted the trajectory of the case and exposed a dark reality behind showbiz's polished exterior, the echo of truth and a glimmer of justice. Cassie Ventura, marked by trauma, yet propelled by resolve, emerged as a symbol of courage and the pursuit of justice in a world shadowed by silence and exploitation. Her testimony wasn't just evidence, it was a thunderclap, a moral indictment of a system that has long shielded the powerful. The trial continues, but voices like Cassie's have already begun to shake the once solid foundations of the entertainment elite, signaling the dawn of a new Chapter 1 defined by accountability and transparency. In any criminal trial, the truth does not speak for itself, it must be proven. And in cases where the accused is a powerful mogul like Sean Diddy Combs, the truth, no matter how raw or visceral, must navigate a labyrinth of legal tactics, media strategy, and even covert political maneuvering. Immediately following the explosive testimonies of Cassie Ventura and Jonathan Oddie, Diddy's legal team launched their counterattack. Diddy's attorney: truth is not what feels right. Leading the defense is Benjamin Crenshaw, a high-profile attorney known for getting dirty power players out of legal peril by the skin of their teeth. Crenshaw, calm and razor-sharp, didn't attack the truth, he went after the gaps in it. What you heard from Cassie was not testimony, it was a personal narrative drenched in emotion, tailored to fit a rising cultural trend, the trend of destroying successful black men. The statement sliced through the courtroom's moral tension like a knife. Crenshaw knew he was playing a dangerous game, but for clients like Diddy, the law isn't a barrier, it's a weapon. Attacking Cassie contradictions and motive for revenge. The defense argued that Cassie Ventura had a clear personal motive to damage Diddy's image. She had previously sued him in a 2023 civil case, one that ended in a confidential settlement reportedly worth millions. So why reappear now? Crenshaw wasted no time posing that question to the jury. Cassie isn't seeking justice. She's a woman scorned, unhappy with being cast out of a relationship and unsatisfied with what she already got. Crenshaw used Cassie's past silence to undermine her current courage. Why didn't she speak up all those years? Why only now, when speaking out is profitable, headline-grabbing, and trendy? Discrediting Jonathan Oddie, a warrior for justice or delusional figure. Turning to Jonathan Oddie, the media dynamite witness Diddy's defense pounced on his erratic past and mental health struggles. They referenced Oddie's bizarre online rants, old video footage, and most notably the 2018 incident where he stormed Trump National Doral, Miami, proclaiming himself a warrior for justice before engaging in an armed standoff with police. Crenshaw didn't hold back. Do you trust a man who once fired shots in a hotel while claiming to save the world from Satan? Although Oddie's behavior at the time was attributed to PTSD and bipolar disorder, the defense exploited it to portray him as unstable, suggestible, and incapable of distinguishing fantasy from reality. The media and social platforms, allies or enemies of justice. Another sharp arrow in Diddy's counterstrike was aimed at the invisible force, the media. In a brief but forceful press release, his legal team declared, "No one can get a fair trial when judgment has already been passed on TikTok and Instagram." They highlighted how snippets of Cassie's and Audie's testimonies were clipped, dramatized with music and emotional captions turned into entertainment content rather than legal evidence. From the defense's perspective, the media had become a second prosecutor, one unbound by rules of evidence procedure or due process. Victim lawyers, fireback, classic abuse tactics. But the plaintiff's attorneys and prosecution were quick to respond, accusing the defense of employing textbook gaslighting, the psychological tactic abusers use to make victims doubt their own memory, feelings, and reality. Questioning the timing of Cassie's voice doesn't diminish its value. It only shows the depth of fear she once lived in, her attorney countered. Regarding Jonathan Audie, prosecutors argued that his past instability was not disqualifying, but rather symptomatic, a direct result of prolonged psychological torture. They introduced mental health expert reports establishing a clear link between his trauma and the testimony he gave. A new legal front, anonymous witnesses, and a federal shift. By the fourth hearing, the Diddy case was no longer a one-on-one between him and Cassie. At least 5 anonymous witnesses had been listed in new court filings, 3 of them former staffers close to Combs, and 2 fashion models allegedly coerced into private parties at his Holmby Hills estate. Prosecutors requested these testimonies remain protected, citing risks of retaliation within the industry. The defense vehemently objected, arguing that one cannot cross-examine an invisible witness. In this context, the U.S. Department of Justice is now reportedly exploring a separate federal investigation, one involving human trafficking, money laundering, and organized sexual abuse. If launched, this wouldn't just be a civil or state-level criminal case, it would become a historic federal matter. Is justice truly approaching? At this moment, the Sean Combs trial is no longer about a rap star and his former lover. It has breached the walls of private life, raising broader societal questions. How many other powerful men hide behind glamour and wealth? How many victims are still dismissed as having ulterior motives? And is justice truly a place where even the rich must bow down? The truth, they say, can be buried in paperwork, distorted by lawyers and blurred by media narratives. But when it emerges through testimony, through tears, through the raw eyes of the abused, it forces an entire system to look at itself. And sometimes, just sometimes, that's when real justice begins. I don't think I'm watching a trial. I think I'm watching Hollywood look into a mirror. A user's comment under a video of Cassie's testimony on TikTok. The storm named Diddy hasn't just shaken the federal court. It has ripped through social media, tearing apart the values the public once thought were clear: power, fame, and morality. From YouTube and Instagram to CNN and Fox News, everything has become a crime scene, dissecting, analyzing, even arguing over every glance, every voice, every name mentioned in court. When Hollywood holds its breath, waiting to see who's next, Diddy isn't just an artist. To the public, he's an icon of untouchability. From his early days as Sean Combs, the Harlem Kid who built his empire from nothing, to becoming a mogul who owns liquor brands, fashion houses, media ventures, and music festivals, Diddy has long stood atop modern black pop culture. So when Cassie's courtroom testimony spread across platforms within hours, the first response was silence. No celebrities spoke up. No close rapper friends posted a thing. No brands rushed to cut ties. They're not silent because they don't believe Cassie. They're silent because they're afraid they'll be next. Amanda Seales, actress and black feminist activist. Fear spread like mold after the rain. From secret meetings in the entertainment industry to leaked group chats, people whispered about an unofficial list. Celebrities who once attended private parties at the Holmby Hills mansion, described by multiple witnesses as a lair of demons and domination. The internet justice in the digital age, or a thoughtless guillotine. In the past, public opinion followed the media. Now it fuels it. It ignites it. It acts as judge, jury, and executioner. A viral video of Cassie breaking down on the stand tagged Diddy Trial hit over 800 million views on TikTok in just 1 week. An AI-narrated reenactment of her testimony surfaced on YouTube like a true crime documentary titled Hollywood's Sex Slave Inside Diddy's Empire, with 6.2 million views in just 4 days. Twitter, now X, became a battlefield. Two sides emerged. One side calling this the Me Too moment for hip-hop. The other more cynical, claiming Cassie and Jonathan were just playing the victim card for money. But the reaction wasn't just online chatter. Real-world consequences followed. Diddy was removed from the guest list of the 2025 BET Awards. More than 12 radio stations across the U.S. paused playing Bad Boy Records classics. A petition to revoke his Lifetime Achievement Grammy hit over 1 million signatures. More voices begin to break the silence. As public outrage grew, some previously silent celebrities began to speak out, but not in ways people expected. Kid Cudi posted an Instagram story. "Don't forget what I said about nearly dying at that man's house." Aubrey O'Day, former member of Danity Kane, formed by Diddy, tweeted a lengthy confession: "I witnessed violence, abuse, and manipulation in studios and on tour. No one dared to challenge him. Now I understand why." The more people stepped forward, the more chilling it became. This wasn't an isolated case. It hinted at a system of power built on fear and silence, where parties were held to hunt, not celebrate, where record deals were permissions to own bodies, not just music. Mainstream media. A strange and cautious dance. Curiously, while TikTok and YouTube exploded with reenactments, breakdowns, and tearful testimonies, mainstream media tiptoed like walking on landmines. CNN's first report merely labeled it a civil lawsuit involving abuse allegations. The New York Times avoided the words rape or sex slave for 3 days after Adi's testimony. Fox News. It focused on the mental instability of the key witness. This caution sparked criticism. If this were an old white man being accused of the same thing, would they still call it non-consensual sex? Or would they write what it is? Rape Megan Ramani, independent investigative journalist. How are social justice groups and victim advocates responding? Following Cassie's testimony, RAIN, the nation's largest anti-sexual assault organization, issued a public statement in support of her. Speaking out against someone who once controlled your life, career, and identity takes unfathomable courage. We stand with Cassie. Black feminist groups like Sister Song and the Black Women's Blueprint quickly followed suit, emphasizing that abuse in Black communities is often ignored from within. It's not that we don't have victims. It's that our perpetrators wear the faces we're taught to idolize. Above all, America is now asking itself, how many times have we bowed to fame? On a late-night talk show, comedian Trevor Noah left audiences chilled with a closing line. "We called Weinstein a king, Epstein a philanthropist, Cosby a role model, and now Diddy." Why is it that good men always seem to own mansions with cameraless secret rooms? That question now hangs in the air like a second courtroom, one with no judge, but millions of witnesses all watching, doubting, and finally waking up. In America, you can survive any scandal as long as you stay silent, long enough or rich enough, and know when to return. Rachel Cargill, author and social activist: "If the federal court is where justice is handed down by law, then the public is where legacy is truly decided." For Sean Diddy Combs, the heaviest accusation isn't found in an indictment. It lives in the minds of millions who once listened to his music, idolized him, believed he was the living proof of the Black American dream. Now, all of them sit in an invisible jury box, not just judging Diddy's alleged crimes, but also confronting the long silence they themselves kept. When an icon falls, who do we lose? For over 3 decades, Sean Combs wasn't just a man. He was a cultural symbol. From Mo Money, Mo Problems, to the Revolt Summit, from the tearful embrace with Notorious B.I.G. to the crisp white suit, founding Bad Boy Records, Diddy represented unapologetic success, a black man in control, wealthy transcending music to shape the market. But now when his image is tethered to words like sex slave rape, coercion threats, torture, fans are left confused about what to do with their own memories. I grew up on Diddy's music. If everything they're saying is true, does that mean my childhood is stained with blood? True Hip Hop 1987 Reddit comment. Many have removed his albums from playlists, deleted old wallpapers, even unfollowed artists who once collaborated with him. But others have chosen a different path, separating the artist from the man, a moral loophole once applied to Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, Kanye West, and almost every powerful man caught in scandal. Forgiveness might happen, but it takes time, truth, and silence. Hollywood is a machine with a short memory, but it's a memory with conditions. Mel Gibson was once canceled for anti-Semitic rants, only to return with Hacksaw Ridge and an Oscar nod. Louis C.K. lost everything after a masturbation scandal, but now sells out comedy shows. Will Smith, just 2 years after the infamous Oscar slap, is back on the red carpet to applause. So what about Diddy? The key isn't repentance, it's the pause. Wendy O'Neill, crisis communications strategist Diddy, once publicly denied all accusations, calling them a money grab built on lies. But after surveillance footage surfaced of him assaulting Cassie and her emotional courtroom testimony went viral, he began vanishing from the public eye. No more rebuttals. No lawyers on talk shows. Just silence. To many, that silence reads as guilt. But to Hollywood's media machine, it's a calculated move, the first step in cooling down the public and waiting for the right time to reemerge. Oblivion, a death sentence, or a lifeline. When the Diddy scandal broke, one major difference stood out from the era of Weinstein and Epstein. The public's attention span is shorter than ever. Last week, Diddy was trending #1 on X, formerly Twitter. 3 days later, a story about Selena Gomez launching a new perfume topped the feed. Within 2 weeks, over 40% of Diddy-related posts were no longer widely shown, buried by algorithms that now prioritize lighter entertainment. This is the cruel math of the attention economy. You don't have to prove you're innocent. You just have to stay quiet long enough for people to forget you were accused. Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. And Diddy, a man who once mastered media manipulation, may now be betting on just that. The women forgotten or forged into icons, Cassie Ventura, once dismissed as Diddy's ex, has now emerged as a leading voice in the Black Lives Me Too wave. But will the public truly care long-term? Or were they just momentarily intrigued? The hashtag Justice for Cassie still exists, but usage has dropped 70% in a week. Her heartbreaking video in court was chopped into memes, remixed with music, and reshared like viral entertainment. One Instagram account posted her photo with the caption, "She's not a victim anymore. She's a symbol." And yet, as journalist Jameli Hill once wrote, symbols don't need to eat, but victims do. Surface-level solidarity is a double-edged sword. It turns Cassie into a cultural figure but strips her of human empathy. It etches her name in history only to leave her behind in real life. The court of public opinion doesn't convict it, reverberates. No one knows how this trial will end. Diddy could walk free. He could face criminal charges. He could keep fighting civil suits. But one thing is certain: a crack has formed. A crack in the music industry where moguls now glance sideways at each other. A crack in the hearts of fans now forced to ask, am I spending money to fund an abuser? And a crack in the soul of America where once oppressed black icons are now being called to account, not by the system, but by their own communities. Justice doesn't always come from a verdict. It comes from a shift in collective awareness. If the People's Court has taught us anything through the Diddy saga, it's this: you can't build a legacy off music, bury bodies in the mansion basement, and expect the bass line to drown out the screams. Every empire believes it is immortal until the final moment. If tomorrow Sean Diddy Combs disappeared from this world, walking away from his lawyers, the media, and the boiling blood of a trial awaiting its verdict, what would remain? An era of hip-hop, a multi-million-dollar conglomerate, a music legacy branded in bad boy style, or a series of memories distorted by muffled screams behind locked doors where no melody ever played? We live in an era where guilt is chopped into hashtags, where justice is a remix, reproduced, reposted, and, if necessary, muted. Diddy once rapped about power, glory, and champagne overflowing under the white-hot lights of Miami nights. But now darker recordings echo in the ears of the public the testimony of a woman coerced a surveillance clip of him choking his girlfriend in a hotel hallway and chilling whispers embedded in the silent walls of a Beverly Hills mansion. A man can own the whole world and still not control himself. That's not power. That's tragedy. And this is the tragedy of Sean Combs. Not because he was accused, not because he might go to prison, but because he once had everything and believed that gave him the right to do anything. Now it's not just the law judging him, it's memory, it's conscience, and it's the very cultural history he once stood at the center of. Can an artist be separated from their actions? Can glory conceal abuse? And must the public be held accountable for the applause it once gave?